letter dated February 27th from Nancy Baker, the Manistee County Planning Assistant, asking Filer Township to host a Planning Commission meeting during 2017. Under Department and Committee Reports, item A, we have the Water Department report with the attached Wade Trim monthly report. B is the Fire Department report. C is the Zoning Administrator's report. D is the recommendation from the Personnel Committee considering approval of the recommendation to hire Larry Thompson for the part-time zoning administrator position. Item E is the Planning Commission report. F is the Zoning Board of Appeals. G, the Building and Grounds Committee report. H is the Board of Review. I, the Elections Committee. J, PEG Commission. K is the DDA Authority meeting minutes and report, and L is the sewer project report. Under new business, item A, we have consideration of approval of the presented wages and salaries and charges and fees resolution for 2017 and 18. Item B is consideration of approval of the presented fiscal year 2018 budget as discussed at the budget hearing held on February 7th, 2017, and appropriate the millage for the purpose of 1.39555 township operating mills, 1 mill for refuse, a half a mill for fire and rescue, and a half a mill for the fire bond. Item C is consideration of approval of holding the annual spring brush pickup and permission to advertise in the newspaper. Item D is consideration of approval of the presented DDA budget for fiscal year 2018. E is consideration of approval of a request from the Manistee Public Access Television for financial support in the amount of $5,000 for the fiscal year 2017 and 18. Item F is consideration of approval of a request for annual support from the Manistee Recreation Association within the range of $8,921.26 and the top end of $9,813.38 for the year 2017. And it's noted that our contribution for 2016 was $10,000 with quarterly payments. G is consideration of approval of the presented bid in the amount of $2,700 for May drywall, for drywall work to be done at the Nelson Street office. H is consideration of approval of the presented February 27th bid in the amount of $14,850 from Swiderski Brothers Excavating LLC for the concrete work including driveway and porch at the Nelson Street office. Item I, consideration of approval of the presented February 24th bid in the amount of $4,850 from Hageland's Floor for flooring work to be done at the Nelson Street office. And then two addendum items for new business would be item J, consideration of approval of the supervisor's recommendation to hire Jim Espovic for the Filer Township Fire Chief position. And item K is discussion of compensation of the fire chief. Anything else to be considered under agenda items for tonight? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Cruz, support by Ball to approve the meeting agenda for tonight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under the consent agenda for tonight, we have item A, the minutes of the budget hearing meeting held February 7th, 2017. Item B, minutes of the regular board meeting held February 7th, 2017. C is the financial report. Item D, approval of the township general fund expenditures, including the fire department, and those 34438, with accounts payable totaling $72,019.32. Payroll totaling $11,777, for a grand total of $83,796.32. Item E is approval of the Water Department expenditure checks 2346 through 2354, totaling $43,140.89. Item F is approval of a budget amendment transferring $10,000 from the general fund balance to capital outlay for the Nelson Street office. G is approval of budget amendment transferring $5,000 from general fund balance to zoning salaries. H, approval for clerk and deputy clerk to attend the Bureau of Elections free training in Cadillac on March 7th and 8th. Item I is approval for the clerk to attend the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks Free Education Day Conference on April 27th at the Soaring Eagle Conference Center in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, plus accommodations. Item J is approval of the presented 2017-18 Township Board monthly meeting schedule. And item K is approval of Tammy Shemke and Mike Hiller to be added to the Miss Dig 811 account with a $38.55 fee per year per account, so mapping can be updated. Any other considerations for the consent agenda for tonight? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Steggy, support by Brian Cruz to approve the consent agenda for tonight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, under communications and announcements, you have in your packet your letters, meeting minutes from the County Planning Commission concerning the trail updates. I don't know if there's anything that that you've got to add to that, Shirley, or?
No, Karen goes to that. And she goes with the report to the planning commission, and there was nothing.
Okay, nothing
Planners
new.
were about to do on that yet.
Okay. Item B, the letter from Nancy Baker. We should probably at least minimum just take action on that and approve them meeting here at the township for one of their monthly meetings during this year. And we would have to, I'll let you coordinate that, Kathy, getting in touch with Nancy and scheduling a date, but let's at least entertain a motion to approve the Planning Commission meeting here at the Township Hall for one of their yearly meetings.
I would move that we would hold the
Also.
county meeting here in 1 month.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ball, support by Cruz, to approve the County Planning Commission holding one of their 2017 meetings here at the Township Hall with Kathy coordinating that with the county. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment. Any public comment tonight?
Oh, from us?
Sure.
Oh,
You're the
okay.
public.
I'm happy to start. Go ahead, go ahead.
Would you just introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I will. My name is Laura Berman. I believe I spoke to you on the phone.
Yes.
With my husband Scott.
Yes.
I live on College Avenue, 4011 College Avenue. I'm also, I have a home there, and I also work in Grand Rapids. So I'm here part of the time and not. I'm part of the Lakeland Association, and we have a few members here who have heard that there are some proposed developments to the Magoon Creek natural area. And I think we have some big concerns about those developments and what that's going to do to that lovely area that will change it. It's hard for us, I think, right now to comment on the specifics because I know there are changes happening. We just can't really seem to get any information on what actually is going on. But I think in general, I know I would be opposed to any development of the beach, access to the beach or the beach area. I understand the up top areas, as I understand it. It's hard, again, to comment on the specifics, but they're talking about some handicap spots, or you might be, and maybe a path to the bathroom and that's a beautiful place to look out on the beach, but to look out on the sunset. But anything going down to the beach, I think, would be very harmful for the dune and the dune area. And just looking on the website and the mission of the township, which is listed on the website, is to protect the natural progression of the dune development and not interfering with that. I guess I'm concerned about that. But again, I don't know the specifics of the project, and I think all of us would really need more information on that because we're concerned about that.
Certainly, and I don't know if any of you were at the public hearing that we had last week. And a plan was presented, and we heard noted objections to that plan. The committee took those into consideration. We had a follow-up meeting, made some adjustments to those, but as of right now, where that's at exactly, I guess I would just say that, and Dean can chime in if he wants, he's on the committee also. We are looking at something different than what was proposed at that public hearing, and we are looking at having another public hearing. We will be advertising in the paper, try to get, we'll get the ad to the newspaper tomorrow, so it probably won't appear until Saturday. But we're looking tentatively right now at having another public hearing on Wednesday evening of next week, with updates, changes.
Do you know for now if there's any road or a path that is in that proposal that goes down to the beach then?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm not going to take a lot of time to get into details on what we're contemplating right now, but we've gone away from the notion of the gravel road leading to a paved parking area. The committee decided that based on the input, we're not going to try to do that.
You're applying for a grant for this?
Yes.
And that is when?
The grant is due April 1st.
April 1st, okay.
Yes.
So this meeting will be before then?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
So
And before we apply for that grant, this body also has to take action to approve that process and adopt a resolution to pursue that.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens, the actual award of the grant wouldn't come until December or January. And then there are some additional steps that need to be following that, and then if there was any construction that was going to be done, it would be after that, which would be then looking at
Next year.
next summer.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll know by next Wednesday what that proposal is?
Well, yeah, we have to, because that's what we're going to come to the public to receive input on that revised proposal. Okay?
So next Wednesday we have to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you are in agreement in terms of how you feel about any development there.
None.
Well, yeah,
I think everybody really feels like none is the best, I mean, leaving it as natural as possible because it's such a pristine gem.
yes.
Here, Ludington has.
We are trying to respond to the concerns that we've heard going back to the public hearing last June that we had. That's how the plan was developed, and then seems like we've heard more now and from more people. So we're trying to address those concerns, and I lost my train of thought. You asked me, oh, okay. So how everybody feels, I mean, that's that's the purpose of the public hearing next Wednesday.
Okay, great, because I think there are a lot, I've heard a lot of people that I didn't really know about the project, and then once I started finding out, I guess there was maybe something recently in the paper, but there are a lot of people who feel this way that are opposed and have big concerns. So, and I think there's a lot of that, I know you did a lot of planning since June, but a lot of that, most of the public didn't know about. And
Yeah, and we, both of those, there were press releases on. I know the last one was on the front page of the paper, and this time it will not be a front page press release. It will just be probably in the classified section, a notice that there will be, the township board will be holding a public hearing, and so.
Then usually at 6 o'clock too?
No, that'll be at 7 o'clock.
7, okay.
And you think it's probably going to be next Wednesday, is that what you
That's,
know, or could you
yeah.
call in to find out?
Well, that's what we're leaning to, and I want to touch base with the rest of the committee, but it sounds like we've got, for example, next week, Monday and Tuesday, we have board review here, so we can't do it those days. We've got people that have got other meetings on other days, so we want to fit it in next week.
Okay.
And right now, Wednesday's looking like the best alternative.
And you will take the concerns of the public into consideration?
Certainly. I think we've already demonstrated that by the committee coming back and saying, we're not gonna put a gravel road down there with a paved parkway, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think understand our concerns of
Yeah, yes.
that being used for, there are already all the parties that happen and all the garbage, but, that being part of that concern is that people will drive up and unload things there or use it to wheel coolers down, that kind of thing, so there's a concern.
Well, I know there's been a lot of concerns expressed along that line, and like I responded before,
Yeah,
as far as the large parties down there at night and that, it's gated, it's locked at night, so people can't go in. So anything that takes place out there has to be during the daylight hours.
So, and you think you will go ahead with the grant, even right now, not knowing exactly what the scope of the project is?
I can't really answer that question.
Okay.
I mean, from one extreme to the other, the one extreme would be, we're not doing anything, so there's no grant to apply for. To whatever revised plan we come up with, are we going to pursue a grant for it?
What prompted this? What prompted all this to begin with?
Well, to be honest with you, we had a board member who passed away, and I don't remember when we lost Ed now. But in May of last year, but prior to him passing, he was a trustee on this board, and he was also on the Building and Grounds Committee, and very involved in the township, and has been very involved in the township forever. And he, in discussion at a meeting one time, he said it sure would be nice if we had handicap accessibility at Lagoon Creek. And when this Explore the Shores program was developed, that's part of the intent of that program. They've done a number of projects in Manistee County and a few in Benzie County. And so at one of the meetings at AES, when it was brought up, are there other potential Explore the Shores projects out there from any of the communities? We put it out there. We said, well, we'd like to have some discussion about a project at Lagoon. So that's how it started.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, once we got some ideas on what we might do, then we had a public hearing to receive them. Well, actually, we had a public input session to receive public input in terms of what are the concerns, what are the desires, what would you like to see, what don't you want to see, and that sort of thing. That's how we got started with it initially.
Well,
So we've tried to be open to the public comment from the beginning.
First Street Beach has everything that
Yes.
you wanted to
Yes.
propose for this, and I
Yes.
don't understand
And
why.
a lot of places do, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, we're only 5 minutes away,
Yep.
so anyhow, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I really think grants are the way to go. I mean, they do help our communities. I would like to see some research on grants that would help with the maintenance and the invasives. We just, Lakeland Association just received a bid to clean up some of our invasives the first time so that we can get a handle on what we're doing. And I know that our invasives have, you know, Ludington to here to Magoon also. But I'm wondering if there are monies there that would be useful. I was not aware, having been at the June planning meeting, I was not aware of why Magoon was so different, you know, as a nature area. I mean, I always knew it was a wonderful park and people loved the trails and people worked to get down to that beach, and I can appreciate that because they work to get there. You don't get there simply, you know, how, and so it's something I think grants should be looked for, but in a different realm. I mean, so that it doesn't involve the change, so that we upgrade what is there. I mean, you know, it's like getting rid of some of those invasives, you know, doing those kinds of things to upgrade the park. I really appreciate the gentleman that was here at the last one, letting us know, you know, what the park, the reasoning was for. My number one use is to go in the spring and work with the kids from the various schools on, you know, on history and going into the creek to, you know, all of that is really, really interesting. And I think we need an area that does that kind of thing. I mean, I can't think of any other one a park where they go and learn that we are prehistoric, you know, in that area. That you can also be told we need to update and put out used to be able to get a pamphlet, so when you walk the trails, you could see, you know, this was a beech nut tree, and you get to think about why did this gentleman bring a beech nut from, you know, Ohio. You know, it really was a very good thing. I haven't seen the pamphlets there in, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years, but I just assume it's because...
Have you checked the mailbox?
Yes, I have, and I've checked it each time because I've always wanted. I have a very old one, I know it doesn't change, but I wanted to give it to people, you know, that I know. And I've never been able to catch it there.
We'll have to get some more in there. I know Ruben took some out there last year.
Yes, he did. And I asked him if he had any extras.
Yeah.
And
But the other programs, I agree with you. The educational programs are excellent, and those will continue. And as far as invasives, you know, we are trying to address those issues, and possibly some of that grant money could be rolled into that as well.
so the grant you could request that grant in that direction versus the handicap direction, or is it a very concise
I can't
request?
answer that. I don't know. There's a whole big, long
List.
questionnaire process you have to go through, and you get points for different things towards winning the grant. So, I guess I would just I'd wrap it up with saying that, you know, please come on Wednesday next week, or check the paper. We'll post it on our webpage too, and it'll be posted here and at the credit union and at the fire department where we always post our meetings. And you can call the hall too to double check on. Okay?
Yeah,
Thank you for your
Can I ask
comments.
one quick question?
Yes.
Sorry, I did speak to Tamara at AES, and she said the grant was all ready to go, and so I guess that was my concern of what's the grant actually for?
Well, we've been working on the paperwork for it for the last 2 or 3 weeks. There's a gal from Traverse City that's doing the grant writing. I've spent a lot of time with her on the phone, answering questions, sending information, that sort of thing. And I spoke with her today, in fact, and let her know that we're going a different direction than what we were going before. And before it's submitted, she has to also get project cost estimates in from the Spicer Group. So obviously, until we know exactly what we're going to be doing, he can't give her that information. So most of it's ready in terms of a lot of the questions that have to be answered and that sort of thing, background information. But it's not complete yet. Okay. Yeah, so we're kind of under the gun here to get things, if we're going to go for that grant. That's why we're pushing for public hearing next week, so we can then have time for a follow-up special board meeting. Okay? I hope I've answered your questions.
I think so. I mean, I guess our all concern is if the park gets changed, that, you know, sometimes that's, you know, it's not, you can't go back to the
Right.
pristine way it is now. We know
Right.
we need to see it happen.
Right, we understand that.
So thank you. Thank you for letting us.
Any other public comment tonight? Okay. Let's see, let's move on then to reports. You've got your water department report, the trim report in your packets, and there was something I wanted to bring up. Oh, we need to probably consider the strategic consideration, the discussion about the backup generator at the Red Apple Road Water Tower. So I'm thinking that's something probably that we ought to have some discussions, further discussions with the 911 board, or with Jim, and also with Patrick Gallagher regarding that, because like it says here, if we do have a power outage, that's not going to sync like it normally does on a control panel. It's going to have to be done manually. So I guess if you don't have any objections, I will just try to get those discussions going between 911 board and I guess it wouldn't hurt if you want to direct me to do that. Because right now there's no cost estimate, and I know Mike has talked to me about having a portable generator that, you know, right now that we could take up there if we needed to, but this would be permanent. It'd be a smaller generator, it's not like we have a well. I'm thinking something on the order of this one.
I wonder if that would be something that we could write a grant for the,
Yeah, we may be able to, because we purchased this one with the grant, so.
Sure.
That's due next Wednesday.
Oh, wow. But it comes up maybe twice a year, I think.
Just noticed it on my calendar.
So, now are you talking about the Michigan participating plan grant?
That's how we got this one, was the Michigan participating plan, yeah. Well, if you want to do a motion, direct me at least to explore that and come back with some cost figures.
I'll make the motion that we do.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Cruz, support by Wall to direct the supervisor to begin discussions between Wade Trim and the 911 board about the generator and possible shared costs of that generator for the Red Apple Road Water Tower.
We should try that.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Ron,
I apologize for being late again.
that's okay, you made it just in time, we figured you probably had a call. Fire department report.
So we had 21 calls for the month, 19 of those were medical. One was a carbon monoxide alarm, and one was a gas leak. Also, as you read my report, 2 years ago we stopped filling swimming pools, above ground pools, and we would like to start doing that again. And the firefighters have agreed that they will pay the cost of the water out of their own pocket for the township residents. I'm limiting the size of the pool. We will not do in-ground pools, but the typical 4-foot above-ground pool that typically kids use.
How much money are you talking?
We're talking about probably $8 or $9 a pool,
How many pools?
So you're only looking at,
4 or 5 a year.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have an agreement when we got the bond grant money for the water infrastructure that we can't give free water. That would be a water bill here.
Yeah,
The fire department pays a water bill. Everybody pays a water bill.
that's taxpayers. And so you're talking about pools that are a couple hundred, 200-300 gallons of water?
No, they're typically, and I don't know the cost of the water, they're typically 1,800 gallons.
Okay.
Usually one load or two at the most. We have an 1,800 gallon tanker. The biggest one that I've ever seen is like we take 2 leads, which would be 3,600 gallons. And I think it's eight something 1,000 or 9 something 1,000. Maybe $18 or whatever.
We've got a survey tonight, I was just looking at it today.
And most of 99% of those are out of the water district. So those people have to fill their pool from their well, which is a pretty good burden on them and their well. So it does them a favor. Well, we also, as part of the agreement, that when we fill our pool, we tell them that if there's, for some reason, we need the water, we will come there and throw a hose in there and suck the water back out of the pool. If you need it for firefighting.
Well, would you do that if it was a private pool? Without, I mean, if it was out by me and I filled my own pool, would you still be able to come and take that water out of my pool?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason is in Public Act 207 allows the fire chief or whoever's in charge of the emergency to take whatever action is necessary to protect the public safety.
So if they fill their own pool, or if you fill their pool, you're still going to take the water?
We can still take the water.
But then if you took it
The
from...
requirement is that we would have to return the water to them and then pay any costs such as chemicals that they put in the pool. We have used PCA's clamp truck to unload a semi-load of paper that crashed on 31. We have, we've asked them and they never charged us. They sent a clamp truck up and to help us unload the paper from the semi. The trailer couldn't be moved. And we get to Ryan's Auto Parts, we used their forklift to stabilize the trailer on the highway. That was in danger of tipping over until we could stabilize it and be able to remove it, the record.
So if you have to fill a 2,000-gallon pool, it's $5.
Is that what it, I have no idea.
$2.50 per 1,000.
I have no idea what the price is.
Residential number 1 rate. I guess, Ron, again, with the understanding that if you have to then take that for firefighting purposes, fine. I guess my initial response is we'd have to make sure we have documentation, when the pools are filled and the bill's paid. But before we give a final okay, I'm thinking we probably better just make sure we run it by our township attorney to make sure that legally.
Okay.
There might be some problem with using our equipment to do it, too.
Well,
So
that's,
you have
yeah.
to
Why would that be?
And
The issue we have, when we do our maintenance and they find issues with our apparatus, it's because they tell us that we're not using them enough. And that's our issue, is that we don't take them out, pump water with them, and draft water and stuff. So this is another reason, but especially the pump on the tanker that we use. We don't use that pump as much as we need to. So this gives us another, it doesn't put a lot of pressure to run it at an idle, but at least the pump operates and the seals get lubricated.
Yeah.
The valves get used.
Runs it.
But I don't know what the issue would be, but if you want to check and let me know that.
yeah, I guess just to make sure we don't get ourselves into hot water, but.
And we typically, we have, at the fire station, we have a run book that we put all emergency calls in. And then we also have what we call a training book, which is separate, that we keep records of things that we do, things that are training issues that we have, but we don't need to put them in the emergency calls, but we need to have a record of them. And we do that because the risk management from the insurance company says that if you're going to be out doing training, training has to be official. And to be official training, it has to be a record of it, and it has to be approved by the chief or his representative, who would typically be the assistant chief. So it's an official department function. Otherwise, the liability and held in insurance, comp insurance won't cover if something bad should happen. So,
Right.
those things would all be recorded, the date, time, and address and everything, where they went, and all the, however much water they put in the pool would all be recorded there. So we'd have a record of it, and then we could provide the water department, whomever, with the record of that, of how much water we used. So, as far as record keeping, that's not a problem.
Okay.
As you've noticed, probably every Monday and Thursday, there's an EMS class going on at the fire station. We have 2 people in the class from our department, free of charge. That class ends the end of the month. So we'll be back to our regular Monday meetings, and right now we meet on Tuesdays. I believe their last day is the 27th, whatever the last Monday is of the month. And that'll be complete. Those classes are sponsored by the Firefighters Association. If you notice, annually we put a $1,000 training check into the Madison County Firefighters Association. All the fire departments do that, each township that is a department, and that's all used to pay for these classes. If we had to pay for the classes on our own, it would cost us a lot more between the fire class and the EMS. It would cost us a lot more than what we invest each year. So by working together, it does save us a lot. And that's all I have. This is my last meeting as fire chief, and I thank all of you for everything over the years that you've done for me, all the cooperation, and we've had some disagreements, but they haven't been very many, and I appreciate it. And so I hope things continue on smoothly. I'm sure there'll be some changes, but I don't anticipate there'll be a ton of those, but everybody has their ways they like to do things. So I thank you very much.
Well, on behalf of the board, just once again, we thank you for your dedication to the township and the fire department for the past number of, how many years?
27.
27 years, so we thank you.
Thank you. And the people of Filer Township, it's been my pleasure to help people in their township. And that's what it's all about.
Okay, you have Lynn's report in your packet, zoning activity.
Oh, Terry, I forgot one
Yes.
thing that I wanted to bring up. And that was the grant. The grant with, to put in the emergency access road to Fox Farm Road. That was approved, but we have not moved ahead because we don't have an agreement yet with the Lakeland Association. So we haven't been able to move ahead with that. I put it on hold a couple of weeks ago from my end because I'm going to be stepping down, and I didn't want to do that until we knew who the new chief was going to be, and talk to him and also Terry about whether we were going to move. The new chief was going to want to move forward with that. Jim has agreed that if he's made the chief, that he will. He wants to go ahead and continue to try to move that forward. So tomorrow I will be emailing the Forest Service contact that I have and see exactly where it stands on their end, because we had, as you know, a multitude of communications and issues with Pennsylvania in this day and age. I don't know how that can be with faxes and scans. I faxed and scanned and mailed and everything else, and I believe they have the form now, so we should be able to go ahead with that. And they're remains about a 12-page DNR and Corps of Engineers application that has to be made before we can do any work on that property because there's a creek there. And so the DNR advised me of that. Again, that application cost itself is $500. I've not completed that paperwork because we don't have those funds in our hand yet. So that will be, Jim and I will be going through all that paperwork and turning that over to him, and then I'm sure they'll give you a progress report after we find out exactly where to stand with the Forest Service. But I wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
Yep.
Okay, Lynn's report, the big one going on, of course, right now is the TES application, and that's this month's planning commission that will be dealt with again. So other than that, not a whole lot going on. The Personnel Committee, you have the minutes in your packet from the meeting of March 6th, and the recommendation from the Personnel Committee that we need to take action on. And they are recommending that the Township Board approve the hire of Larry Thompson for the part-time zoning administrator's position. And as noted in those minutes, at a rate of $15 per hour with 12 hours per week. Right now, up to 20 hours per week if needed. We're looking at, we talked about the specific hours that Lynn is working right now, continuing those on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 until 12, and then 1 till 3. Also attending planning commission meetings on a monthly basis, and then any ZBA hearings that may come up, he would be required to attend, and also any other hours that would be needed by appointment other than Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he was agreeable to that. And we talked about a 90-day probationary period for him, and with the possibility of a wage increase being offered at the end of that probationary period. So that was the recommendation of the Personnel Committee. Are there questions or comments on that?
Well, once they have 90 days, and both you have a chance to look at it. If he wants to work for us for more, or if we want him. So I think that's the big kicker here.
Right. And this schedule works out good with him in terms of his,
It doesn't conflict with Strong.
doesn't conflict with Stronach Township. Their planning commission meetings are on Wednesday nights, and he's pretty much working out of his home there. He doesn't hold regular office hours, does a lot of things by appointment on weekends and that sort of thing. So he said this was very workable for him.
I'm gonna make the motion to go ahead.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Dean Cruz, support by Gutowski, to approve the planning committee or the personnel committee's recommendation for the hire of Larry Thompson for zoning administrator. Any other comments or concerns? Okay. I'm going to do a roll call on this.
Kowalski, absent. Steggy?
Yes.
Ball?
Yes.
Brian Cruz?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Dean Cruz?
Yes.
Kowalski, yes.
Okay, item E, you have in your packet the minutes of the regular planning commission meeting held on February 21st. Is there anything you want to add to those minutes, Shirley, from the planning commission?
Well, not to those minutes, but Lynn did have a conference today with Jim Condu, and they're looking at a little bit different design down there, so.
Right.
She's also been with the attorney, she called in today, and they're hopefully going to get that all worked out by Monday, so something could possibly be in place for the planners to look at when they meet in 2 weeks. We have to see.
Yeah. And I guess for purpose of general knowledge, she's looking at the location of the gas turbine
Location.
moving back to Lot C, which is further to the north.
Would that be more where the pulp is, all the pulp is?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, where the pulpwood is currently stored.
So they keep
So
their
the pole
building.
barn would not get torn
They
down.
want to keep their barn. Be less noise for the.
So that's the latest.
Not gonna be noisy anyway, 85 decibels, whatever, but it'd be, well, you're the closest,
It's, 85 is high, yeah.
but that's the limit, right? That's the max.
Well, right now, on their current permit, on the current location, that's the max is 85.
They're maxed out there right now.
And that'll be further back than where, what
Yeah.
they.
Well, this equipment that, as I understand it, that they're talking about now is new equipment too, so we should have good user
The
manuals there, you know, to give us all.
one turbine they're
specs
looking at
and
now
all
is
that.
a new one, as opposed to the 4 they were gonna go with were used
Yeah.
turbines. Okay.
So we should have good specs on all of that.
Used or,
Pardon me?
used.
They were used.
The 4 that they were looking at purchasing before were used turbines.
Jim's not, he told me there were 4 brand new GE, they're looking at a couple different makes, brand new, he told me.
Yeah.
There was a couple different stores.
Well, that is, might be true for now.
You
But
said they're not using 4,
No,
they're
they're
using
not.
1.
Well, they may be looking at 4 different turbines, I don't know.
Well,
Different
what
design.
Lynn talked about today was they're looking at one turbine. The other one was gonna be, those were gonna be, there were 4, were they 40 megawatt?
4.
Yeah. And this one is one turbine, much larger, so that's 160 megawatt output. This, I wanna say it was 250, but
Because one
don't quote me on that.
Ludington is one big one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it would be
Did tell-
comparable to the plant that we toured in Lexington.
They were used.
Okay, because he told me they were looking at purchasing brand new GE, Mitsubishi, Bethlehem, they were looking at different turbines, so they didn't order them, like he said. They were shelf items, so they ain't used.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay,
They told us something different.
your the minutes of the ZBA meeting from February 23rd are in your packet. And that request was denied. Building and grounds, you have the minutes of the February 27th meeting in your packet. I guess the biggest thing there is the work is moving right along at the, at 2111 Nelson Street. And we hope to keep that moving. PEG Commission, you've got the packet in your packet, and we do not have a PEG Commission member anymore. So I don't know, Rose, if there's anything you wanted to add to this report. Okay. Moving on then, the DDA minutes of February 7th are in your packet. And they, at the DDA meeting on Tuesday, I did point out an error on the minutes, and so they adopted those minutes with that change, but I see that they're not recorded here yet. And that had to do with the sewer report. I had talked about the easement behind the Family Fair being resolved, and it notes here the easement behind Family Fair is for the pump station for the wastewater collection system. That's not true. It's easement there is for the main, the sewer main. The pump station easement is on Heenan property south of Twp March, so that's just one collection of the Heenans
I
that.
saw that come through.
Oh, did you? Okay.
They say they're gonna pay their bills. That's a
She's been
concern.
really good.
Never mind.
Okay. And Al, the sewer project, talked with Richard today, and talked with Brian on Tuesday. I had intended to call Eric Williams today also and get his input on where we're at with that easement, but I spent most of my day here on the phone and never got to Eric, so that's one of the calls I'll make tomorrow. We may be about 2 weeks out on getting that resolved, it sounds like, according to Richard and according to Brian. That's the easement that, the property that we weren't aware until they started getting into it, that they found there were 27 different easements on that property. They've been trying to identify those and locate them. The two biggest concerns, I guess, right now is the consumer's easement, and Richard's working with somebody from consumers on that. The other one was the Morton and Bryan line easement. Didn't have a clue where that was, and we finally were able to get that resolved, the location of it with Dave Slifka just about a week ago, and that's not going to present a problem. The only issue now is with the DBA, whether there was a brine spill there, and whether that's going to impact that easement. So we hopefully will have an answer to that, like I say, within a couple weeks. We need that. I did sign papers for the permits necessary from DEQ with Wade Trim, and then what was the other one? Also the permits are ready to go to MDOT for the right-of-way, construction of the right-of-way, and Road Commission has already had plans submitted to them for the work in the county roads. And the only county road that's going to affect is 28th Street over here. And so once we get the issue of the Heenan property resolved, then we'll get certification from the attorney. It'll go to the rural development, and once they okay it, then we can request bids. So, so my question to Richard today was, and to Brian on Tuesday was, so April bids, and they said hopefully we'll be able to seek bids in April. So it's been a long time coming, but unforeseen issues, particularly with that Heenan property. Well, the other one slowed us down for quite a while too, but we finally got that resolved. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Okay, moving on to new business, we have consideration of approval of the presented wages, salaries, charges, and fees resolution for 2017-2018. And I believe we kept everything intact, other than I know we had discussions about due to the cost of publishing now, and we didn't change those, we kept it. Okay, that was the only thing I wasn't sure of. So basically, that document is the same as it was for 2016-17. No changes in that document.
And all the water rates are staying the
The
same.
water rates are staying the same, right? No increases. So, with that, I would ask for a motion for approval.
Make a motion.
I'll say,
Okay, we have a motion by Brian Cruz, support by Dean Cruz to approve the presented wages, salaries, charges, and fees for 2017-18, which would be effective April 4th, 2017. Roll call, Kathy?
Yep. Gutowski, yes.
Yes.
Dean,
yes,
Walker,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Shirley,
Yes.
Stuckey,
Yes. I get last name out first, huh?
Tom.
Okay, item B is consideration of approval of the presented fiscal year 2018 budget, which was discussed at the budget hearing held on February 7th, and also appropriate the millage for township operating at 1.39555, garbage and refuse at 1 mil, fire and rescue at 0.5 mils, and the fire bond at 0.5 mils. So again, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dean Cruz, support by Stady to approve the presented fiscal year budget. Any further discussion? Okay. And then I'm going to ask you to call the roll.
Paul,
Yes.
Gutowski, yes. Walker,
Yes.
Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Stuckey,
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes,
Okay. Item C is consideration of approval of holding the annual spring brush pickup and permission to advertise in the newspaper. This is March. If we get advertisement in the paper and seek bids, generally we've done that usually the first or second week of May. I think last year it did get pushed out to the second week of May. And this year, the first week begins with May 1st, so I guess if we just propose a tentative date, we can once we get bids on that,
We'll work with the person.
we'll work with
that-
the contractor that gets the bid, but tentatively it'll be probably early May. So we just need a motion to approve the annual spring brush pickup that we've been doing for.
I'll make that motion to approve the annual spring brush pickup.
I'll support.
Okay, so we have a motion by Brian Cruz, support by Gutowski, to approve the annual spring brush pickup and permission to advertise in the newspaper.
Roll call then.
Yeah,
It did say in the notice last year that it's to be done during the month of May. Is that the way you want it stated?
yeah, I think if we leave it during the month of May, that gives the contractor plenty of room
Okay.
to work with. Okay, any other discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed? Motion carried. Item E, consideration of approval of a request from, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I skipped. D, consideration of approval of the presented Downtown Development Authority budget for fiscal year 2018. That budget is in your packet, and that was also discussed at the budget hearing in February.
Do you have a better copy?
I do have a better copy, but this is the one that was in the packet. I was kind of surprised.
I don't know if we asked her for a better copy after we put that 3.5%.
Yeah, she did present that at the DDA meeting on Tuesday, so,
She presented you with a better one?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
'cause that, this is a permanent document.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Not the
I'm
one
not
like
even,
this.
yeah. So I guess maybe with that approval, we'll include
We've got the right numbers on it, though.
we've got the right numbers, but with the approval, also updated final copy from the DDA treasurer that does not include the chicken scratch.
Yeah, you can kind of read it.
Yeah. Okay.
I would
Need a motion?
move
Yes,
that we adopt this DDA budget and
Okay.
appropriate it.
and I will support that. So we have a motion by Paul, support by Walker to approve the presented DDA budget for fiscal year 2018. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Wait, we probably should.
We have-
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, we do, that's a, yeah, my bad, budget, yeah.
Ready?
Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
Walker,
Yes.
Gutowski, yes. Ball,
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Steggy,
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Okay, item E is consideration of approval of a request from Manistee Public Access Television for financial support in the amount of $5,000 for fiscal year 2017-18.
Do we know what we paid them last year?
It was $5,000.
I was just gonna say, I believe that's the same amount that we contributed last year, okay? Pretty sure it was.
Amount is the same as last year.
Yeah.
so it's-
That's the same advice.
Yeah. I will make a motion that we approve the request from Manistee Public Access Television for financial support in the amount of $5,000 for the fiscal year 2017-18.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Wait,
And,
catch up here.
yeah.
Roll call.
Yes, please.
Ball,
Yes.
Gutowski, yes. Steggy,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Okay, item F is request of approval of a request for annual support from the Manistee Recreation Association within the range of $8,921.26 to $9,813.38 for the year 2017. Our 2016 contribution was $10,000, which we paid quarterly. And Kenny Cott was here at the February meeting and made a presentation on the Recreation Association, and so basically, I think he included that in here. He did include a report in terms of the families from the township using the services of the Recreation Association, also with a listing of names of families.
I think if I remember right, what we did last year is approve the low end.
We did $10,000.
We did 10,
That could have been the low
and,
end.
yeah, I don't recall, I'm pretty sure we didn't go to the high end on
Yeah.
that, and, yeah.
It says they contribute an amount between 8,900 and 9,800.
Yeah,
Went to 10.
No, because.
No, last year.
Last year we went to 10.
the request was different last year, based on the township family usage, okay?
That's 2016.
Yeah, so it's usage was probably greater in 2016. Because he's got the 2017 funding formula in here with the number of residents that participated in MRA activities, and the total number of registrations, the number of scholarships that were given, the amount of scholarships, what they totaled, and so forth.
So the low end would give people the 50% discount as well as the high end.
Yeah.
Just a matter of you want to go higher or lower.
Right.
Well, I'm going to make a motion that we just kind of go right in the middle at $9,000 contribution this year.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that?
It's annual, right?
Yep. Paid quarterly.
Yeah, we pay it quarterly though. It would be a $9,000 annual contribution. And maybe I should word that into the motion that we pay it quarterly, yes. Okay, so there's a motion on the table by Walker, support by Cruz, that we make a donation for 2017 of $9,000 to the Manistee Recreation Association to be paid quarterly.
Installments.
Yes, quarterly installments. Any discussion? Yeah, if you want to call the roll, please.
Kowski, yes. Walker,
Yes.
Ball,
Yes.
Stady,
Yes.
Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Okay, item G is consideration of approval of the presented bid in the amount of $2,700 from May Drywall for drywall work to be done at the Nelson Street office.
Josh, this is your,
Yes, and I spoke with, did you get the paper on that? Okay, I spoke with Bob about that yesterday because he hadn't gotten it yet. He was going to track him down for that, so. Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
I'll support that.
Okay, motion by Stady, support by Gutowski to approve the bid by May Drywall for in the amount of $2,700 to do the drywall finishing work at the Nelson Street office. Any other discussion?
When's he gonna be able to start?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Recess.
Yeah,
That was in
3
yesterday.
days ago.
Okay.
yeah, and that was, well, I think I talked to you about that today. I contacted everybody I could get a hold of, and we did get
almost done.
quorum approval for that, so that he could get started, so that we don't lose Matt,
Right.
so that he can continue on with the cabinet work. Because they're stored in the garage there. Josh is looking around them right now. Okay, Shirley, or, sorry, Kathy, you want to call the roll,
Who's
please?
here to watch?
Yeah, old habits.
Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Stady,
Yes.
Kowski, yes. Ball,
Yes.
Okay, item H is consideration of approval of the presented February 27th bid in the amount of $14,850 from Swiderski Brothers Excavating LLC for concrete work, including the driveway and porch. And that porch includes the handicap access ramp at the Nelson Street office.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ball, support by Cruz to approve the February 27th bid in the amount of $14,850 from Swiderski Brothers Excavating LLC for the concrete work at the Nelson Street office, which includes the driveway, handicap ramp, and porch. Any discussion?
Is it a ramp with porch, any railings or anything else?
It may, I'm not sure on that. I know with our discussion about handicap access at Lagoon, I was told we didn't need railings, but I'm not sure on this. It's a little bit different situation, so we may.
So that's not
That,
We don't have railings on
it's-
on the office door, and that's handicap accessible entrance.
on the what?
On the office door.
But this is a
There ain't no
ramp, isn't
porch.
it?
Yeah, this will be a extended ramp with a grade to it.
Yeah, it's sort of built right in there, though.
I will check on it. I will say this, I guess, on the blueprints that we have at the Nelson Street office, our architect's blueprints, everything on there spelled out that's needed. And I haven't looked at that part of it. You know, I can check with Bob, or I can go down and look at them, but if that's required, not only would, I would think that Bob would have brought that up to him, I would guess that they would have looked at that also, because they had to look at the drawings, first of all, the specs, to see what was involved in this, in order to submit it. Anything else? Okay, Kathy, you want to call roll, please?
Walker,
Yes.
Dean Cruz,
Yes,
Stegman,
Yes.
Chakowski, yes, Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Ball.
Yes.
Okay, item I is consideration of approval of the presented February 24th bid in the amount of $4,850 from Hagman's for work to be done at the Nelson Street office. That includes kitchen, bathroom, hallway, and then a little bit of work in the back office, which was part of the bathroom as it existed before and has now been changed. And so that's going to need some work. The rest of it is all the hardwood floors. So that's what that bid covers. It's tile in the kitchen and linoleum in the hallway. And that back, I just refer to it as closet area now that had been a bathroom, part of that other, part of the original bathroom.
So we still need to get that unfinished doorway stain in there. That's gonna be another,
Which doorway?
well, it says here also includes unfinished doorway trims, which would need to be stained to match hardwood by you or Mr. Natural.
is that the one going into the,
So I mean, that's added work somewhere along the way. Apparently Anglin's not doing.
I would imagine that.
No, that's, yeah, we've got painting to be done, which will include trim work.
Okay.
The painting, yeah, all the walls
So we're
are
not
gonna
there
be
yet.
painting, that's, yeah, that hasn't, we haven't seen bids on that yet, and then, the hardwood floors are gonna need a little bit of, sanding, it's gonna be minor, and then finish,
Okay.
coat, and that hasn't, we haven't seen,
Okay.
bids on that yet either.
are we keeping the hardwood?
Yeah.
So they gotta repair that little piece in
You're talking about, by the front entrance?
when you come in the front, that whole main
Yeah,
office, you're gonna,
yeah.
how about the door going in? Was there gonna be a doorway there or no? There's a doorway.
Down that hallway or into that first office?
When you come straight through into the, where the fireplace is. Is there gonna be a door on
You mean a doorway before you go down the hallway?
Where the existing doorway is, you're asking, is there gonna be a door
that? Yeah.
on that?
They asked me that, I said,
Yeah, I don't know, we had a lot of discussion about that, and whether there's a need for that or not. That would just separate the meeting area, that large meeting room that's been created, that was the living room, dining room combination before, is a large meeting room now. Not sure if that would really, if it'd be necessary to have that closed off.
Because we actually have a door.
Yeah, yeah, we will have, so that we could just use there if we
If you
decide
want
that
a
needs to be
door there, we
separated,
could
yeah,
put that in.
yeah. I guess
Yeah.
that's something maybe, Building Grounds Committee's gonna have to discuss further, and then maybe get some input from you guys on whether you think it would be.
Because I think at one time we were gonna put a door there, but I don't know.
There'd been discussion about that, yeah, so that if there was a meeting going on in there during the day when the offices were open, if somebody was coming in to meet with the assessor or whatever, you could close that door and not have any interruptions, so that's something that just needs to be ironed out yet. Okay, where are we?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we're looking for a motion for item I. Okay, so we have a motion by Cruz to approve the ambulance bid in the amount of $4,850 for the flooring at the Nelson Street office, and support by Brian Cruz. Any other discussion?
When we get done with this whole, we get a total?
Yeah. And I think Kathy's got it on until, or at least you did have that as of about 2 weeks ago, so.
It would be nice to have one so we can see.
Yeah.
I can go with that, on the capital.
Okay, Kathy, you want to call the roll, please?
Steggy,
Yes.
Gutowski, yes. Ball,
Yes?
Walker,
Yes.
Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Okay, two addendum items to consider, J, is consideration of approval of the supervisor's recommendation to hire Jim Espovic for the Filer Township Fire Chief position. And,
Did you reduce the door speeds?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Pardon.
Turn the page. Okay, and at the last board meeting, we heard the recommendation from Ron, and I had a couple other discussions with Ron regarding the fire chief position. Also met with Jim and Ron Monday of this week. Had discussions with the Sheriff's Department in regard to any issues with having to leave work, 911 work for an emergency or whatever, and that was not an issue. Spoke with a longtime member of the fire department, very, very supportive. And so it's my intent to, with the board's approval, to recommend the hire of Jim for the fire chief position.
That's your motion?
And I forgot, also had discussions with our liaison about that, with Dean.
You making a motion?
Um,
I'll make the motion. Unless you want to make the motion.
No, I'm recommending that, so if you want to make a motion to
On your
approve my
recommendation,
recommendation.
make a motion.
On Terry Walker's recommendation, hiring for the Fire Township Fire Chief position, I'll make that motion.
And this-
Second.
And this is effective April 1?
April 1.
April 1.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion by Brian Cruz, support by Tom Staggy, to approve the supervisor's recommendation on the appointment of Jim Espovic for the Filer Township Fire Chief position, effective April 1st. Any other discussion?
No, I'll wait till you're done.
Okay. I see you want to do a roll call, so go ahead.
Dean Cruz,
Yes.
Ball,
Yes.
Steggy,
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Gutowski, yes. Walker,
Yes.
Jim could be here, but he wanted to make sure that he says got big shoes to fill. But he'll have them around for a little bit, so he can help.
Yeah, he, and Jim did call me also this afternoon to let me know that something came up. We would be able to attend tonight's meeting, and he was concerned about starting off on the wrong foot. But I assured him it's not an issue. I understand understand that, and that takes us to
I'm getting
item,
my honey-do list ready.
yeah.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, Rod, that's been recorded and there are witnesses.
That's okay, I don't mind.
So you're not gonna be able to back out. Item K is discussion of compensation of the fire chief for a training period for assisting in the transition of Jim from assistant fire chief to fire chief. We know there's a ton of reports that need to be done both on the state level and the federal level, as well as all kinds of maintenance reports and those kinds of things. I guess my thought is just like we did with the transition for our new clerk and our new treasurer, try to have as smooth a transition as possible, with the understanding that it's going to cost us a little bit to do that, but it's also going to, in the long run, probably pay dividends, keep us from getting into any issues like happened at one time with the township. And so Ron came up with a proposal or a thought that he did talk to the personnel committee about a little bit. Do you want to share that with this, with the board?
Well, just that rather than taking an hourly amount and going on and proceeding that way, just to continue my current compensation for 2 months. And then regards that won't matter how many hours, because I know we're going to run into, so I would guess between 40 and 80 hours at a minimum. Plus down the road, there's going to be more
Yeah, and it may extend,
issues that are going to come up during the year.
may extend well beyond the 2 months.
Right.
Certainly things that will come up later in the year.
So, and then that would not,
What are you going to do when you're done with, are you staying on as assistant chief or firefighter?
no, I'm just going to stay on as a fire EMS
Fire EMS?
responder, yeah.
Who's going to be the assistant?
I'm not, you have to ask Jim. I believe it's going to be Logan Scare, but I don't want to speak for him. That is, he needs to pick someone that he can work with well.
Would it work if you were the assistant for 2 months?
Pardon?
Would it work out if you were the assistant for 2 months? And then-
No, it's, the job responsibilities are completely different. Logan, if Logan is going to be the assistant, he needs to start moving into that position. And then Jim and I are working into the chief position.
You think 2 months is long enough?
Yeah. I mean, whatever comes up after that is,
Pro bono.
I wouldn't ask for anything, additional after.
Okay,
after that.
I just make sure.
Because I know there's going to be, in the fall, we have our EMS license renewal for the department and for the truck, and there's some other things that are going to come up.
Just-
Well, we still stay
just
on
like
as
here.
Fire EMS, so
Yeah,
it would be
yeah.
just like me here, you know?
Yeah, it's just like here, there's things that come up maybe once a year or twice a year, and we're not dealing with it every week or every month.
We'll try to have those ironed out beforehand, but there's going to be some things we forget. And I'm not going to come back and ask for more after that 2-month period. I'm not going to come back and ask for more money to do that.
Your intent is to do some intensive training,
Right, to do
try to
so.
plan everything out ahead and.
And there's things like the security system and the camera system. You don't use those a lot, and then when you do need to use them, it's a whole new refresher process. And like right now, we don't have any new employees that need new name badges. So what we have are inexpensive practice badges that we can do. But when the time comes to actually create one that opens the system, we'll probably have to go over that again. And then the same with the video system. That's probably going to take a couple sessions before we get that done. And then we also have to convert that over to the new computers as well. And I didn't want to do that since the board approved the new computers and we have those. We started transitioning from the old computers because there's the two of the old ones have quit working completely. We have one that still works. And I didn't want to start installing that video and security software on the new one until Jim was there. So that you could see how that works.
Do you have things that are done on quarterly basis and annual basis?
We have some annual things. As far as driving record checks, we're on a subscription service, so we get an annual report on everyone's driver's license and criminal history. And then every time that someone interacts with law enforcement, we get a report as well. Those are done on a monthly
What do you do
basis.
with that information?
I'm sorry?
Is it just for the file, or do you have to use that to do some other report yet?
No, we get that part of it's automatic. The state sends us those automatically. But every time we have a change in the department, we have to submit paperwork changing that. We need to take people off of that system, put people on that system, that kind of thing. That usually happens. You've seen how we have a turnover. And so that every time we have a turnover, every person generates another piece of paper for that report.
I would know that, yeah.
Yes, you would. You would know that. The system works great. I mean, if we have someone who goes out and gets a speeding ticket, within 30 days I'll have that in my mail. The system is good. We know exactly how our people are operating their personal vehicles. And if we have any issues, then we address those. You can get a speeding ticket, but once you get two speeding tickets, then you're probably going to have somebody, the fire chief or assistant chief is going to be talking to you about what's going on with your driving. So we keep a very close attention to that because that is one of the biggest risks to the department is a traffic accident. We're very careful about how our people drive.
So pretty much after 2 months, you've gone through it with Jim.
Everything should be through after 2 months at least once. And there'll be some, like I said, that we have to go back and review again because it's a lot to take in at one time. And like I said, I'm not interested in looking for any more compensation after that time period. I'd be more than happy to help them in any way.
I talked to Shirley today, and we can't have two people on the pension like we talked about.
Yeah.
Can't
okay.
have both of them on the
Yeah.
pension at one time.
That
so
would be
we
a
have to
consulting
decide
position.
what you're going to do with that.
Okay. And Ron, if I can just make a suggestion, I guess I've suggested this with both Kathy and Tom, is that as things come up and they're getting help, keeping a notebook
Right, yep.
of his own notes in his own language, so that when it comes up the next time, okay, you don't have to scratch your head and say, I can't remember quite how I did that.
Right.
Go to your notebook.
Yep.
Make a motion then, we hire Ron as a consultant for April and May at his current wage for training of the new fire chief.
And I'll support that motion. So we have a motion by Brian Cruz, support by Walker, to retain services of Fire Chief Kutuski for the months of April and May at his regular wage for training purposes for the new fire chief. Any discussion?
I think that's a real good idea.
I think so too. How much is it going to
I know too, but they didn't have somebody but me. Well, other than Shirley Lynn. Okay.
Do you do roll call?
Yeah, let's do the roll call. Why not?
Sticky,
Yes.
Ball,
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Kutowski. Yes.
Okay, public comment. Any other public comment tonight?
Oh, just want to thank you for
Yeah, thanks for
You're
taking
welcome.
the
Thank
time
you for
to
coming.
listen to us, yeah.
Anytime you want to get a hold of us, we're here.
Well, thank you.
Well, you got our number now, so.
Yeah, you might be sorry about that.
And by the way, I did get your email concerning the chairs, and I did respond to it. I intended to, but I've been chasing my tail all day.
You're busy, I understand, I just wanted to make sure you got it, and just another option, and, you know, just as long as you understand we're concerned about protecting those dunes,
Yep,
we appreciate
we do.
your listening, thank you.
Okay, you're
And
welcome.
you'll see us maybe next
Anything
Wednesday.
else?
Thank
Anything
you.
else coming before the board tonight? Dean, do you have anything? Kathy?
I went to election training, Lynn and I did, Tuesday and Wednesday, very interesting, and I can't tell you how important Lynn said that Shirley and Ruth and now Ron training those new people coming in was. There were 30 new clerks there, and some of them did not have a clue. They even asked, you know, what's the EMP? And they should really know that. So, anyway.
Yeah.
So thank you for approving that.
Tom, yeah, right, sure.
Well, actually, yes, we have more, because we did go to 2 demonstrations of voting machines, and we now know that the state is going to pick up entirely the cost of whichever one we choose.
Sweet.
Good.
And we're going to a third, I'm going to a third one. Shirley will be on vacation on the 23rd, and then we'll have a clerk's meeting on the 27th, and we'll make a decision there on which system. So I'll come back and report you.
Good. And before I forget it, I don't need a report right now, but just a reminder, because I'll probably forget, but I'd like to get an update from either one of you, because you're both on that committee for the regional recycle.
That meeting is next week.
I know you told me you had a meeting next week, so I'll just update me on that, if you would, please. I just have one thing for tonight, and that is the Building and Grounds Committee asked me to ask you folks to just start thinking about a name, an official name, because we talk about 2111 Nelson Street, we talk about the Nelson Street office, we talk about the A complex versus the B complex, and so on and so forth. And
We're not leaving the B complex.
yeah. So anyway, we just they asked if you would try to come up with something that so we have an official. And I've thought about it too. For awareness of our constituents of 2 different locations of offices and what they are, and to make it readily accessible and so on, but for communication purposes, because, if we talk about the Adamski House, some people are going to say, what are you talking about? 2111 Nelson Street or the Nelson Street office. So give it some thought, and down the road, when we get that project finished, hopefully by then we'll have a name. Okay? With that, I would entertain a motion for
I so move.
motion by Cruz, support by Cruz, Dean and Brian, for adjournment. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.